Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us Across the Fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Midlife often goes hand in hand with the word crisis. But what if it turns out that midlife can be the best time in your life? Our guest today is Ellen Albertson. She's the author of Rock Your Midlife, 7 Steps to Transform Yourself and Make Your Next Chapter Your Best Chapter. A PhD psychologist, coach, and dietitian, Dr. Ellen helps women transform themselves and thrive, especially during that vague time called midlife. Welcome to the program, Ellen.
Thank you, Fran. It's awesome to be here.
And actually, this is kind of a welcome back. You have been on as a guest dietitian. Some people might remember you in that way, but you're here as an author today. So how do you define midlife?
Roughly, it's that time, when you're hitting your 40s, between 40 and about 65. But I think it's, you have this wake-up call when you start to realize that there is less time in front of you than behind you. So it's a bit of a wake-up call.
And how is midlife different for men and women? Are men really going out and buying the sports cars, or is it very different?
Well, the crisis is a bit of a myth. Not that many people, about 8% of people actually have the quote unquote midlife crisis. But, for women, we're very appearance focused. We really feel like most important thing is our appearance. So when we're going through midlife, plus we've got that thing called menopause. So there's this physiological thing, and there's this focus on appearance, and your appearance does change as you hit midlife. For men, it's more of a sense of not being as powerful, not being as important. So this is sort of more of a loss of relevancy, and it's not as much focus on appearance.
Okay, and your book has gathered actually a lot of attention. You've been giving interviews and are on the cover of Aspire magazine, which is awesome. Why is midlife such a hot topic right now?
Well, for 2 reasons. I think, well, first, the baby boomers and the Gen Xers, right? So baby boomers are like, you know what, we're reinventing everything. So they have really set a course in terms of aging. And then you've got the Gen X coming up, and they're looking at things like menopause, looking at reinvention. So there's just a lot of interest, largely because we've got this gift of 30 extra years. I mean, this is the first time that humanity is looking at living till into our 80s, our 90s, even to 100. So we've been gifted with decades and decades of opportunity. And so midlife is this time where we're looking at, like, what do I need to change right now? So I think we're reinventing ourselves, and we're really reinventing the way we look at midlife and the way we look at aging.
Great, and actually you have this moniker, the Midlife Whisperer. So what does that mean to you, and how did that come about?
Well, I literally was at a conference, the Entrepreneurial Women's Conference in Texas, and I was thinking about my brand and what I do, and it just popped into my head. And I was shocked to realize that nobody had the moniker, so I trademarked it. And when I think about the Midlife Whisperer, it's really about, I got you. I understand you on the level of, body, mind, heart, spirit, relationships. And so when I work with women and some men, is really, I've been through this period myself. I've helped hundreds of women, and I really understand that it's an unraveling. It can be a really challenging time, but it's also this tremendous opportunity to reinvent yourself and make the most of what you're gifted with, this second adulthood.
Right, and that's the name of your website, and we'll get to that, and we'll put it on the full screen near the end of the program. So the big question, why and how do people get stuck in midlife? You're talking about this is an opportunity to really look ahead and have fabulous years ahead, but people also really get stuck at this time.
Yeah, well, it's really fear. Right. So the brain isn't interested in you being actualized, you being happy, you making a next chapter. It just wants to keep you safe. So really moving in a new direction where there is uncertainty isn't safe. So there's a lot of fear. Plus at midlife, we're really dug in. We probably have, kids and families that we might be responsible for, a job that's secure, or maybe we're dealing with some kind of health crises, or we don't want to do things new. We don't want to lose friends. We're thinking maybe I want to end this relationship. I have a long-term marriage, or I want to change careers. It can be really, really scary to make those kinds of changes when we're younger. It's no big deal in our 20s and 30s so much of like, I'm going to change my career. I know when I was in my 20s, 30s, I changed careers like 4 or 5 times, but we get really dug in. But the good news is that you can get unstuck and, just start by changing one small thing. You don't need to do everything all at once. Start by thinking about, who do I want to be? So what do I want to do today? And then set some specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-sensitive goals for yourself that will help to sort of fill in the blanks and connect the dots for you.
Okay, so let's dig into that a little bit more. It's exhausting to think about change for many people. And you write, if you're not happy with your energy level, take action. Well, that's easier said than done. So what advice do you have to stop procrastinating or putting stuff off that are really good for us?
Well, first, start off with the second step of my book, self-compassion. Do it because you love and care about yourself, not because you hate yourself. When I started, you mentioned that I've been a dietitian. I've been a dietitian for 30 years. When I started, people would come in to see me and there was all of this self-loathing. I hate my body. I can't stand the way I eat. All of this negativity around the change process. So start out and thinking about, I'm doing this because I love and care about myself. I want to be healthy at 100. I want to live my best life, really increase my health span. And then think about, what's one change I want to work on. I think so often we look at all the things we should be doing. I should change my diet. I should drink more water. I should get more sleep. I should train for that 5K, and it can get completely overwhelming. And that's where the procrastination comes in. We shut down. We don't feel good about ourselves. Or maybe, you failed at diets before. Don't go on a diet. Just, add a serving of fruits and vegetables to your day. Have an apple that you put in your bag instead of, a Snickers bar. Fill up that bottle of water and carry it with you. Go to sleep at 11 o'clock. Get that 8 hours. So start small and set, again, some SMART goals, specific things that you have control over that you can do. And then reward yourself when you do it. Get that massage, that facial, take an hour or two to do something just for you, to reward yourself for being nice to yourself.
Fantastic. Easy. One small thing at a time. I love your SMART, measurable goals that you have. And, as we move through life, of course, bad things happen. And you reveal a lot in your book about yourself and others who are dealing with crisis and loss, divorce. And a major crisis for you was quite recent. So how have you used your own advice to deal with your breast cancer diagnosis?
Wow. Well, first I want to say the folks at UVM took amazing care of me. So I want to say we're so blessed here in Vermont to have such an incredible team. I was shocked. I am the healthiest person that I know. I have no family history of cancer. And yet I was diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer in April of 2022. And how I use my steps, the first step is authenticity. So knowing myself, knowing my core values, knowing one of my values really is wellness and spirituality and compassion. So I use those tools, those strengths that I have to know myself, know that, this was about a journey of wellness, getting healthier, making sure to keep my health and wellness at the highest level possible. Step 2, self-compassion. Self-compassion got me through turning to myself the way I would a good friend and saying, "Ow, this really hurts. This is really scary. I don't want to be going through this." Not to make anything go away is something I had to move through, but I was there treating myself like a good friend. That was so important. The third step, energizing myself. So as a health and wellness coach, as a dietitian, I know all the things that I do every day. I do my 10,000 steps a day after my surgery. I was doing my 10,000 steps. I was eating right, taking great care of myself. So I sailed through surgery, radiation. The fourth step is reprogramming your brain. So really knowing how to stay positive, but also not toxic positivity. When the difficult emotions arose, giving myself what I needed, allowing them, getting that cry, leaning on my friends, my partner, hugging my dog, doing all those things to feel good. The fifth step was empowerment, advocating for myself. I didn't do every single thing that all my doctors said that I should do. I did what was right for me. So I empowered myself. The sixth step is rehabbing a relationship. So making sure I was surrounded by people who really love and support me. And then the seventh step is enlightening yourself, looking at this difficulty as bringing purpose and meaning to my life, being able to share my story with other women, the story of hope and early detection, and just seeing a lot of silver linings. I let go of my workaholic, my people pleaser. I think getting breast cancer is kind of a get out of jail free card of saying no to people and things that you really just weren't up to doing.
So you also emphasize the importance of journaling to take you through these 7 steps. Why is that so helpful?
Yeah, journaling is a way to really speak to your soul, to your heart. When we journal, we're really accessing a little bit of that subconscious information. We're spending time with ourselves. It's like part of like spending time with a good friend. And often we get a lot of answers to what we are seeking when we spend the time to sit down with a journal. And the book is filled with journaling prompts, as well as you can get actually a playbook to answer these questions for yourself. And it really will help you figure out how to make your next chapter your best chapter.
Awesome. And you seem to have a passion for island living, and that we're not talking about the Caribbean here, but the Champlain Islands where you live. How does living in North Hero support your current lifestyle?
Oh my goodness, it is so gorgeous out here. I am really knee deep in nature. I literally live across the street from Lake Champlain. So it is our playground. I swim when the weather is warm. I bike. I walk every day with my dog. I hike. And it's also a really beautiful, supportive community because it's, there's like 600 to 800 people depending on the season. And people are really, neighbors are helping each other out. It has sort of this kind of old feeling in a nice way that we really are a community here. And it's just an absolutely beautiful place to live.
Community is so important. Ellen's book is entitled Rock Your Midlife. You can find more about the book and her work on her website, themidlifewhisperer.com. Ellen, thank you so much for joining us today and kind of talking us through that awkward time called midlife.
My pleasure, Fran.
And thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well, and as my 90-year-old mom used to say, rock on.